Motherhood is the biggest sisterhood of them all. Before we became mothers, we were individuals with hopes, dreams, and aspirations. But sometimes, as mothers, we lose sight of ourselves through the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Hi, I'm your host, Dawn Imani. Just a friendly mother that wants to chat about raising kids, chasing dreams, and highlighting the many inspirational stories of the mothers that do it. Just like that. So pull up, grab yourself a motherly beverage, and get ready to ride this roller coaster we call life. Condensed into a show. Welcome to MYLF Podcast, and it's time to meet today's mother you'd like to friend.
For today's motivational minute, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I may post motivational stuff. I may do my motivational minutes. I may be a voice of inspiration. I may be all of that. But it doesn't mean that I have everything figured out. It doesn't.
Beautiful beauty that moves. Dominique Johnson, and you are a certified life coach.
Yes, I am.
Which
so
is awesome. Yes. You are also many other things, but most importantly, you are the mother to two beautiful little ones.
Yes.
Yes. And you've got several businesses and several things that you are about. So just introduce yourself to the audience and tell us about who you are. Who is Dominique Johnson?
So yes, my name is Dominique Johnson, and I am a mom. That is a big part of who I am. But it's not the only part, and I say that all the time. So I am also a wellness coach and a life coach. I have my business, Beauty That Moves, is primarily focused on helping people find wellness in their everyday life, especially people of our culture. I feel like a lot of times we hear wellness and we just think it's like this mystical, magical, like you got to be floating on the beach, meditating somewhere, like it just comes off very unreachable at times. And I just try to help moms and people in general find wellness in their life because it's there. It's there for everybody, no matter where you are in life. And coaching for the culture is something that I recently started that I'm really happy about. It is also a wellness business, but it really focuses more on coaching. It focuses on helping people within our culture learn a lot of the skills that we may not have learned in our households growing up that really, are imperative for our growth and for us to thrive instead of survive. So with that, I offer referrals. I help people get linked to mental health counseling. I also do life and wellness coaching within that business. And I do a lot of challenges. Like this last week, we just did a 1-week self-care challenge, and today is day 6. And I'm so excited about it. Yeah, so that's pretty much the gist of the main things of what I do.
Awesome. Actually, Jose and I we worked with a life coach. It was, I guess, a little different because most married couples go to like a premarital counseling, and we did not. And we had a lot of issues at the beginning. A friend of mine, her mother, that we grew up together in church, Miss Katia Scott. I love to acknowledge her because she definitely helped us. I know it was an uphill battle, and maybe life coaching wasn't what we needed at the time, but it was what we needed because, like you said, it gives you the skills that you need to overcome some of the obstacles that we have internally. I mean, I've been to therapy before, but I don't think that was the road for us at that time. I think what we received was what we needed. And I think what you're doing is absolutely necessary in the African American community, but also more importantly for women and for moms, because we need to learn, I guess, would you say like you offer like coping skills or life management skills? Because we don't have that. There's no like rule book for being a mom.
That is one of the biggest things that I tell people, and I try to convey, is like there is no rule book for being a mom. There is no rule book for being a single mom. There is no rule book for co-parenting. And primarily, if you haven't witnessed that, if you haven't learned the skills or saw other people use the skills, you're not going to wake up one day like, I'm a mom now and I know how to do everything and I know how to manage, all these kids and my life and everything else. That's just not how it works. And I struggled with that. I struggled with feelings of inadequacy, feelings of, I should have this together and I should know how to do this and I should know how to do that. And when I took a step back and I started researching and I started learning the skills and I went back to currently in school for my master's, I had like a little bulb go off in my head, like, of course you're not going to know how to do this. You didn't really learn that. And it's a learning process and there's no age cap on learning. It's not. And so I've learned to give myself grace. And I feel like a lot of moms and a lot of people don't know how to do that.
Amen. Amen. You have to learn how to give yourself grace. Okay, write that down. Write that down. Give yourself grace.
Yes.
Because that is so important. A lot of times we are so hard on ourselves. We are our own worst critic. Everybody else outside of us like, man, you're doing so great. And you're like, what do you mean? My house is a mess and my life is a mess and I'm tired all the time and I'm busy all the time. Where's that happy medium? That happy medium is that grace.
Yes.
Okay, you got to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for not being perfect. But the key is nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect. And social media, oh goodness. It's like it has its positives and it has its drawbacks. And I always remind my clients, like, social media is created by whoever the person is. So not everybody's going to show you, no mom's going to show you when they get up yelling like, oh my gosh, why aren't they, people don't really like showing that. I can't say no mom, but most moms are not. They'll show you when they get to the car and everybody's quiet now and they snap that pic on the way to school. But we don't really like to talk about all the different things that don't go right. And so people have this perception like, oh, well, this person's able to do it and that person's able to do it. And for one, just because they're able to do it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to do it. And for two, a lot of times, nobody's perfect. Nobody just has it all figured out, especially us as moms. In my ebook that I'm working on, there is a whole section called Don't Be Your Own Bully. Don't be your own bully. A lot of times we bully ourselves worse than anybody. And I have to remind myself too, would you let somebody talk to you like that? Would you let someone else on the outside talk to you as bad as you talk to yourself? Because we get nitty gritty with ourselves. We say some off the wall stuff to ourselves. We would know it was wrong if someone else did it though. So we can't treat ourselves in a way that we wouldn't even want other people to treat us.
That is, oh my gosh, yes. Because like we know what you said, we get down to the nitty gritty of ourselves because only we know those deep down secrets, those thoughts, and our inner monologue can be our biggest cheerleader, but it can also be our biggest enemy. Everybody has things that they don't like about themselves, but I think the key is, and maybe you can elaborate, is to speak positivity and words of affirmation. You have to it's like exercise, like if you want those abs, for instance, right? You have to practice restraint, right? You have to eat right, you have to drink lots of water, and you have to go through the hell, which is exercise. Right? And that's the same with your mind, with the way you think about yourself. It takes exercise. You have to exercise the restraint of falling into that negative space, and you also need to build yourself up. So that's like your weight. So you want to trim that fat, which is the negative thoughts, but you also want to build up your strength, which would be the positivity, positive thoughts about yourself. And I use that analogy because you didn't mention that you're also a fitness. Did you say you were a fitness coach?
No, I didn't. So that I have been a fitness trainer. I am I'm a certified personal trainer. And I used to do group fitness and just the whole fitness hoopla for a year. And I shifted into a wellness mindset because fitness started to keep me personally in more of a negative and critical space. I wasn't giving myself grace as a trainer. I just was like, oh, I just had a baby, so I have to snap back. Like everyone expects me to snap back. Like that is what the world expects from Dominique. And I was not giving myself grace. And as I started learning more about wellness and more of a holistic approach, I'm like, now this, it began to resonate with me. And I made that shift into doing my wellness coaching certification. And now I use my fitness background, my psychology background, and my life coaching background, and I combine it to try to help with a more holistic approach.
Can you tell me a little bit about your ebook?
So I'm working on an ebook. I've been working on it for a while. This is one of those situations where I had to give myself grace. So I decided I was going to do an ebook during the pandemic, and then I was going to release it in May. And as I started learning the ins and outs of writing an ebook and, trying to copyright it and trademark, I realized that I had issues with the name, the business side of it, and it just could not come out when it was supposed to come out. But I learned to give myself grace, and it honestly was in my best interest in the long run. I was able to really focus on the book. And as I developed into doing life coaching, I wound up changing a lot of stuff because it started off primarily being like really fitness focused. The ebook is called Mommy Makeover. It is a postpartum guided journal for wellness and self-care. It starts off with me kind of just giving my background of like my own experiences postpartum and the differences between baby number 1 and baby number 2. It gives like a bunch of different exercises. So dealing with grieving the old you, which a lot of us don't realize is a process. We are new people after these children. That old person that we used to look in the mirror and we're looking for, she's may not be there. This person you are now is different, and it's okay to grieve. It's okay to grieve that process. So I talk about grieving the old you as a mom. I talk about my personal journey in having my mommy makeover. There's a 30 days of self-affirmations. There is a workout guide in there that just gives moms some postpartum exercises that they can do. And this is kind of where the FUPA thing came up. Because a lot of us, we get so obsessed about certain parts of our bodies as we're going through the postpartum process, and our bodies are drastically changing every single day after we have kids. And so talking about like the FUPA and learning to love your body and the different changes that you go through as a new mom, and kind of learning the beauty in it instead of beating ourselves up because we're not that person we were on, before, pre-baby. I'm still working on it. Hopefully it will be done soon. I actually hired a business coach to help me with this process because I really want this to be such a helpful tool for moms. And I don't want to just throw some stuff together, I really want it to be able to be helpful and be a tool. Because I wish I had something to look at back then. Like, okay, so this is normal. We do still look pregnant after we have a baby. Because people think they're going to go home and like the baby comes out and your stomach's flat. Like,
right. Yeah. And you know what? It's so funny because you mentioned social media. That is an illusion. This snapback culture. Yes, that might be some people's stories, but that wasn't my story. Okay. Honey, look, I'm 4 kids in. What I got is what I got now.
Okay.
You lose first, like the loose skin. I had 3 large babies, and my son was the largest. He was 9 pounds, 6 ounces. So imagine that, okay? So he was almost 10 pounds, and he was huge. But he was my second child. In my opinion, I not snapped back, but I had to work hard. I went to the gym every single day, sometimes twice a day. I just had 2 children within the last 2 years. And I'll tell you, like, you had your son and I had my daughter like a week apart. And like, I still look the same. I don't even care. I love myself. I'm thankful for my body, and I'm thankful that God gave me the opportunity to bring life into this world. But again, that inner monologue is like, oh man, everybody else had a baby at the same time as you. They all look, slim and trim. And so it really does take a lot of strengthening your mindset into a more positive approach. And like your book is a self-help guide for other mothers, but it stemmed from a need from yourself. That's how I feel about MYLF Podcast, because I needed that collective of mothers to rally around, to have around me and talk to. And I feel like this can help someone else because, some of us, we may not have friends that are mothers. We might be like me, a stay-at-home mom. So you're not really going out that much. I have 4 kids. I can't get out the house to be hanging out and meeting people. So I think that what you're doing is awesome. And having it as an ebook, it makes it more attainable.
Yeah, so the plan is to have it available on my website, but I think I am also going to do some print copies of it for some. I am a paper person. So I've learned to start honoring things about myself. Like everyone else may like ebooks, but I am a person, I need a hard copy. I need the tangible thing in my hand. I like to turn the pages. I like to highlight. And for the ebook, some people very well may be okay with reading online and then just printing the pages that they need to do the exercises or whatever different way. But I needed the tangible book as well. So I will have both available.
Have you ever thought of doing maybe a audio book version? Oh man, my dog's barking. I love audiobooks. Like I feel like I can get so much done as a mom. Like I can have my audiobook playing in the background while I'm washing dishes and making lunch and doing this and that. I think that would be really awesome if you did that.
I am considering it. I've noticed with my engagement, as a mom who does have a business and you're just learning the ins and outs about what your audience engages the most with from you. My audience engages the most with videos. If I could make a meme or have a picture of something, but when people like hear me actually speaking or see me speaking, for some reason they're just slightly more attentive. So I am considering doing an audiobook, and that's why on my YouTube channel, I post daily motivational minutes. So I try to find a way to get people motivation in 1 minute or less. Because a lot of us moms, a lot of us who are working, we don't have long periods of time to always sit down and to listen to an audiobook or to do a podcast. Sometimes we need those short, concise, motivational moments. And so that's pretty much where my YouTube kind of stemmed from. And now I'm even doing it with some of the skills that I'm teaching people or helping people learn with life coaching. So like the other day I did boundaries. So I did a quick 1 minute video on what it could look like if you lack boundaries. And then a quick 30-second video of here's, 3 steps that you can do. So yeah, I think I will slide into the audio book area.
Yes, I like that idea of having the 1 minute messages that you do. I watch them and I'm like, yes, I needed that, And could you tell us a little bit about your coaching for the culture challenges? Now, do you plan on doing that on a monthly basis as well? Because I think that's cool. It's like wellness bingo almost.
Yeah. So that's the goal. So the goal is a lot of people aren't necessarily aware what skills they can learn from a life coach. A lot of people may not be able to necessarily afford services. So coaching for the culture is trying to figure out different ways to get as much information to people. So this month has been self-care. I do plan on doing 1 challenge a month, but I haven't particularly chose yet. Because with me also being a grad student, I have to make sure that I'm able to do my own self-care and that I'm consistent, So I think I might do 1 challenge a month, and every month it'll be a different topic. So right now we're doing self-care, and I feel like the next topic we do is going to be self-love, because self-care is an act of self-love. And I've realized from a lot of the feedback I'm getting from people who are participating that some of us are really struggling with self-love. And I know I did for the longest. And my lack of self-love really did inhibit me in a lot of ways from doing self-care and honoring my needs. So yeah, moving forward, we'll probably do one a month. And I actually had other businesses donate, which was that was like the most unexpected thing. Beauty That Moves donated most of the things to Coaching for the Culture. And I was obviously perfectly fine with that. I'm the owner of both. I was able to kind of do that. But when other businesses began inboxing me and asking me how they could get involved and if they could donate, that just warmed my heart. Like, I was not expecting that type of response. And it showed me that this is actually really needed.
Yes, when you were talking about your Coaching for the Culture, I was thinking, man, you are doing a service. Like, you are giving hope to people for free, and that would be awesome. And I'm glad you mentioned that people are reaching out and trying to help, because everybody can't afford a wellness coach. Like you said, everybody cannot afford in money and in time. Like, we can't just run out and take an hour to go meet with somebody, or even a half hour. So what you're doing with your minutes of motivation and your Coaching for the Culture videos is so helpful and so important to the community. And how can people help if they want to donate to your cause? How can they reach out to you to get that information to you?
We're primarily doing things through email. So coachingfortheculture@gmail.com is the best way to reach us for that initiative. So it's coaching and then the number 4, theculture@gmail.com. Moving forward, we will have just a simple website up with a couple products. And those products, again, are like tangible things, but it helps us get the actual information to the people. But for right now, we just have little items, and every item that people purchase helps us continue to get all the free services that we offer to all the people that we help.
I know you just, received your life coach certification, but you've been doing this all along. I mean, you've been giving us nuggets of motivation and self-help tips. So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I see myself done with my mental health counseling program and license. That is the goal. And honestly, I'm leaning towards potentially starting some type of advocacy center or agency. No matter what, I can't get away from like the helping profession. Like, I have been doing it since I was probably 17 is when I first started like volunteering to be a mentor and doing things like that. So I feel like within the next 5 years, I'm trying to create a program that's made by us, that's for us. Like that is my ultimate goal. So I plan on following that through and just seeing where it takes me.
Do you think your services will be targeted to a certain age group, or just kind of a general service to all?
Right now, Coaching for the Culture it's primarily aimed towards adults, male and female. And that was something I really was trying to get out there with the challenges. Like, I wanted the men to get involved because I feel like we don't talk to them enough about self-care, and they need it just as much as we do. I really want them to get involved. So Coaching for the Culture really stemmed from me seeing the need with adults to learn social skills. I have worked in Buffalo Public Schools. I have worked in residential programs. I have worked in pretty much a lot of the different age groups. And I personally felt like we have a lot of preventative services for children because, research has shown that's the time you want to teach them the social skills and the empathy and the boundaries and the, managing their emotions. And it's like, okay, that's really great for our new generation. But what about the people who are already out of those systems, who don't have those skills, who are parents to these children, who you're trying to teach those skills to? So they're not seeing them. They're not seeing them in their parents. So moving forward, I would like to have services for the entire family. So, some smaller services for kids, because we need to teach our kids to love themselves, to take care of themselves, and we need to break generational curses. But my main focus as I'm starting to build this is the adults.
Yeah, I like what you said about reaching out to men, being involved in mental health and in the wellness coaching sector, we in our society, we kind of, where women are seen as emotional, men are sometimes given that
An ability to
men,
feel.
they're not allowed, they're not allowed to have feelings. And I always have to remember that in raising a son, and you have a son, that it isn't so important to teach them that they are allowed to have feelings. They are allowed to cry. They are allowed to be sad. Men have those things too. They have feelings, and they are allowed to be sad. They are allowed to be happy. They are allowed to have joy. I like now everybody's kind of hashtagging that Black boy joy.
Yeah.
I love it, because we miss the mark sometimes when it comes to our boys. I think a lot of women get into wellness and self-help, but it's really, we need our counterparts, that balance. Our men need that. They need that as a child, and they need that as an adult. And I think it's wonderful that you are reaching out to not only just women, but men as well, because we are the parents of these children.
Yes.
We need to have those skills in order to produce successful children.
Successful, thriving children. It's like, I just want our culture to push past survival and push into thriving. We deserve to thrive. We have experience, we have endured, we have dealt with, and we have to get to a point where we stand up and say, some things aren't working anymore. And we need to learn certain skills. And sometimes we, I don't know how to necessarily politically correct phrase it, but like we whitewash things sometimes, saying that, oh, if you do this, that's that culture, or that's, we make it seem like having some of the habits that are actually healthy don't belong in our culture. And I kind of really want to change that narrative, because I'm not perfect by any means. I call myself a professional survivor. I have been through everything from domestic violence and sexual abuse and stuff like that. And those are the things that help me in what I'm doing, because we have to push past that narrative of accepting being toxic. I feel like I see so many memes, and it scares me. That's really what made me start coaching for the culture. I see so many memes about I'm toxic this and I'm toxic that. And I'm like, you know what, sis? I'm all for you acknowledging, because acceptance is the first step, okay? Acceptance and acknowledgement is the first step, but I don't want you to get stuck there. And that's what scared me for our culture, was that we are starting to get stuck in I can acknowledge my SHIT, but I'm okay with it. Instead of, I can acknowledge it and I can be honest with myself, and I can look myself in the mirror and be authentic about it. But I also can acknowledge that I deserve better and I deserve to change. So I'm going to take those toxic behaviors and I'm going to change them. Who wants to be toxic forever?
Yes, exactly. And when you say that toxic culture and also breaking generational curses, yes, I think as African Americans, we laugh. We learn to laugh through our pain.
Yes.
So we make jokes, and we're like, oh, well, you're not Black if you go to a therapist. You just, live through it, and that builds your character. And yes, it does build your character, but we need to see beyond that pain. We need to grow beyond it. And the first step, like you said, is acknowledgement. But the second step is doing something about it, seeking out counseling, reading a book about self-help, exercising, strengthening your mind, figuring out ways to do things differently so that you're not continuing on those toxic traits and passing them on to your children. Because that's where we drop the ball in our society as a whole. I mean, Black people, white people, Asian people, everybody has toxic traits. It doesn't matter across the board who you are. Every family has their little quirks that they do that, it's normal, but I mean, it's not normal. It's common. But it's not normal. We shouldn't be accepting things just because they happen to us often.
Yeah.
We need to stop and say, listen, is this okay? Is this making me feel good? Is this really helping me to be a better person? If yes, continue on. If no, pause. Let's do something about this. Let's fix this. So you are right on the mark with that thought. Wow, that was powerful. So I really, 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 really believe that is the key to success in raising a family, and even just being a good human being is really being able to acknowledge. Mommy, how do you spell mend? Hold on.
And you know what is another thing? Kind of even just the moment you're having now. I realized that moms needed some support, and moms needed some of those tips and skills. Not just moms, and any parent that's homeschooling right now, because it's a lot to manage. And a lot of us we don't necessarily have the skills, to be teachers or to be environment managers in that type of area. And it can be very overwhelming. And I realized, I realized that a lot of moms just needed to learn how to take some deep breaths, or to learn how to care for themselves, do their self-care prior to helping their kids go on with their day, and how needed that was right now. Because I know I needed it. I had to take a step back, like, okay, well, what can I do before these babies get up? So now I changed my routine. I wake up an hour before they wake up, so that I'm not jumping out of bed, flailing my arms, not knowing what to do, being overwhelmed, getting my body worked up. And now I'm more likely to be irritable or snap, or things like that. So I wake up a little earlier. It doesn't have to be an hour earlier. I tell moms it could even be 15 minutes to allow yourself to just be a person. Like, I gotta breathe.
Yes,
all right, breathing. I'm getting myself together. Maybe it's having a coffee. Maybe it's taking a shower without little hands everywhere. It's just kind of finding those things within our routine with this new normal that we have, so that we're able to care for ourselves, and then care for our children.
I was just saying this to my husband last night, because I when he came home, I ran out the door. I left. I was like, I gotta go. I need to just decompress. And you're right. You're absolutely right. We are all going through this new normal together, but we don't know. Like, a lot of us, we don't know what we're doing. Yeah, I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I'm not a teacher. I absolutely have no training in classroom management. And what I'm doing right now is basically a classroom manager. And I've got 2 kids in 2 different grades. Plus I have 2 little ones that I'm trying to keep reasonably quiet, so that the older kids that are in school can maintain their classroom time effectively. And it is hard. It is really hard. And I think all the key points that you touched on today about giving yourself grace, finding those things, those maybe toxic things, or those things that aren't working, acknowledging them, and finding a better way, and I think right now we're in a learning process with having all of our children at home, or some people have their entire families at home, so we are learning how to live close together and maintain our sanity while there's so much activity going on. We weren't raised to be raising children in a situation like this. Now our children, my older children, they know how life was before everything happened, and now they are the ones that are feeling I feel like the strongest hit, the strongest blow of what all of this is coming to, what is all happening what this all means, because they knew life before, and now they are the ones that are, as children, forced to experience this 360 turn into a new way. Now my little ones, and the ones that aren't in school, they may go through life, and if things continue as they are, they may, this will be their normal. They would not have known any other way. But the point is that self-care and mental health and wellness is so important right now in this time, because we need to maintain control of our lives and control and keep things balanced, not only for our children, which is truly 100%, 1,000% important, but for ourselves, because we cannot. That's Lotus. She's like, get me out of here. We cannot give of ourselves if we are empty vessels.
Yes.
So if we've lost ourselves, if we've lost control, and it's so easy to just be depressed and lay around and wallow in our sadness. But it takes a certain kind of strength to get up, pick yourself up, and do something about it. And that's why it is important to have support around you. So even if you can't afford a wellness coach, you can still seek out the materials to do it yourself. So that is why I love your programs. I love your business. And that's exactly why I wanted you on my show, because this is so absolutely necessary. We all need it across the board. Even if we weren't going through these things right now, it is so important to have support, professional support behind us. So even if you cannot afford to have a private one-on-one session, there are books out there, there are TikToks, there are videos, there are memes, there's all kinds of things, there's all kinds of products out there and resources that you can get that will help bring you into that mindset that you need. So I really want to thank you so much, Dominique, for being a guest on my show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And could you just leave us with some advice, something that our audience could take home with them?
A takeaway is just, the biggest thing is, you deserve to take care of yourself. You deserve to be able to live well. And wellness isn't about money. It's really about a lifestyle. It's really making choices every day, big and small, to get you towards that bigger goal. Wellness isn't always just a lack of illness. And if you do the work beforehand, your body and your mind aren't going to just shut down on its own time. And that's just something I like to tell people. If we do a little every day, or a couple things a week, then we're giving to ourselves. We're giving our body and our minds what they need, instead of waiting until our bodies tell us and shut down and can't function. Because then now everything goes out of the window, and you can't really, you don't get a say at that point. So when you have a say, try to make better choices. Learn better choices.
Amen. I love that. You deserve to be treated well by yourself. You deserve wellness. And just like we want fancy dinners and fancy bags and purses and cars, we need to have that fancy mindset, that we deserve the best for ourselves, and we deserve a better life and a better way of thinking. And thank you so much for sharing with us your Beauty That Moves and your coaching for the culture and all of your inspirational messages and all the wisdom that you have shared with us today. I know that we're going to be seeing you again in the future with all of your new business ventures and so many amazing things to come.
You've made it to the end of MYLF Podcast. Thank you so much for listening and subscribing to our channel. Thank you to our guest, the beautiful and well-minded owner of wellness company and initiative, Beauty That Moves and Coaching for the Culture, Dominique Johnson, for encouraging us to dig deep into self-care and self-love with the help of wellness coaching. Tune in next week to meet our beautiful, amazingly talented and creative guest, Tobia Tessima, owner and creator of the natural skin and body care brand, Abaya Naturals.